She served coffee to a stranger only to discover he was her childhood love, now a billionaire. The bell above the door jingled softly as Sarah wiped the last of the rain from her brow. It was a dreary afternoon, typical of the Midwest. Her little café was usually filled with the comforting chatter of locals seeking solace in warm drinks, but today it felt unusually empty. She sighed, pouring her last cup of coffee into an unsuspecting to-go cup, hoping it would brighten someone's day. She had no idea just how much today would change her life. A tall man entered, shaking droplets from his rain-soaked suit. He was strikingly handsome, with a confidence that made her heart flutter inexplicably. "Do you serve coffee to strangers?" he asked, a playful smile spreading across his face. "Only the nice ones," she teased back. They exchanged small talk, and each word felt like a spark igniting a memory. There was something familiar about him, a warmth that wrapped around her heart. As she poured his coffee, their fingers brushed briefly, and electrifying butterflies danced in her stomach. "Thanks, I needed this," he said, taking a deep breath as the rich aroma wafted upward. "There's nothing like coffee from home." Her chest tightened. How could anyone not love this place? She poured her passion into each cup, and for a moment, she felt that longing inside her shift. As they talked about childhood memories, she realized with shock that she was looking into the eyes of Jake, her former sweetheart. The boy who once promised to chase dreams together, now a successful billionaire back in town. The gap between them felt impossibly wide. "You haven't changed a bit, Sarah," he said, his voice rich with nostalgia. "Still running this little haven?" "Trying to," she replied, her voice wavering. Memories flooded back afternoons spent dreaming of the future while they walked down Main Street. Those dreams felt so distant now. "Business has been tough lately." Her voice betrayed her hidden worries, insecurities flaring to life. The love they once shared felt fragile, overshadowed by her current struggles. Even Ben, her spirited son, often asked when they could afford new shoes or fix the leaky roof. She could feel the weight of those worries drowning her optimism. Before she could think further, Jake leaned in closer, a smirk playing on his lips. "You know, I've been thinking of investing in local businesses. Your cafe is on the top of my list." Her heart raced. Was he serious? The words hung in the air, both a lifeline and a bullet. Would taking his help mean surrendering her pride? People in town would talk, whispering judgments. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let us continue." Yet the flicker of hope danced in her heart. Perhaps this was fate offering a second chance. As the conversation unfolded, she could see concern in Jake's eyes. He remembered her family's struggles and the small-town spirit that gripped them. But as she glanced at Ben, his little face full of restless energy, she wrestled with the truth. Accepting Jake's offer could mean sacrificing the independence she had fought so hard to maintain, yet refusing could extinguish the flicker of hope. The storm outside rumbled ominously, mirroring the turmoil inside her. Would she let her heart lead her to a renewed love, or retreat to her solitary path? The cafe door swung open as the wind howled, and anxiety crept in. A question lingered in the air: was she ready to face what her heart craved, or would she cling to the fear holding her back? The rain picked up outside, the rhythmic drops layering a soundtrack of uncertainty against the cafe windows. Sarah could feel the weight of the conversations around them fade, her focus sharpening on Jake. The man who had once taken her hand as they dreamed of the limitless future was now offering her an escape from her struggles. But was it truly an escape, or just another trap disguised as salvation? "Jake," she began, her voice steadying, "this means a lot. But why my cafe? You could invest in any number of enterprises. The question hung in the air, heavy with doubt. She studied his expression, hoping to see something reluctance or perhaps a hint of past tenderness. I remember the joy this place brought to both of us. His eyes softened with sincerity. It's more than just a café, it's a piece of home. Plus, I'd hate to see you lose it. You deserve better. His words flowed like the soothing coffee they bore witness to moments ago, but Sarah felt a pang of embarrassment. Did he see her as someone who couldn't handle running a simple café? The love that once connected them now felt clouded by judgment. Is this about pity? She asked abruptly, her voice breaking slightly. Not at all, he replied, leaning forward, his brow furrowing with concern. I really believe in what you've built here. My offer isn't charity, it's an investment in something I care about. She searched his eyes. The sincerity was there, she could feel it. But could she risk everything just because of those familiar feelings bubbling up inside her? The warmth, the laughter, the shared dreams, they all threatened to consume her. As she tried to imagine the café thriving again under his guidance, her heart flipped. She would never have to worry about closing the doors or disappointing Ben. But then she thought about the townsfolk, their whispers. Outdated romances don't easily survive the scrutiny of small-town life. Why now? She asked, folding her arms, her defenses rising higher than ever. You've had years to invest. What makes this moment so special? Jake hesitated, as if she had thrown him off balance. Because I've realized life is fleeting. I spent years building my empire, but I forgot what truly matters: connections, like the one we had. Grappling with the emotions churning inside her, Sarah felt a surge of vulnerability. So, what do you want from me, Jake? A revival of what we had? Or are you just looking to sweep in and save a damsel in distress? He opened his mouth, clearly taken aback by her pointed words. I want to offer you support, Sarah. If there's still a chance for us. Before he finished, a loud crash of thunder caused them both to jump. The lights flickered briefly, illuminating the café, then settled back into dim hues. I can't be just a project or a charity case. Sarah's heart felt heavy with her emotions, her fears battling with a flicker of hope. I need to know you see me for who I am now. Jake swallowed hard, the seriousness of the moment closing in around them. I see you, Sarah. I've always seen you. Her heart raced, teetering on the brink of possibility. Perhaps he saw the real her. But was she ready to step into the unknown with him? Rain pounded against the windows as another wave of silence enveloped their unlikely reunion. She could almost hear her dreams whispering through the storm, daring her to take a leap of faith. Just give me time to think, she finally said, her voice trembling as her pulse quickened. Jake nodded, eyes dark with understanding and something else, an emotion that felt like longing. Of course. I'll be around. As he stood, his fingers brushing against hers once more, the contact sent sparks dancing up her arms. The door swung closed behind him, and Sarah was left staring into the rain, amidst memories and shadows of a past that collided with her present. But the real question loomed: could she embrace this unexpected chance, or would she let fear dictate her future? Outside, the storm continued, wild and tumultuous, while inside, her heart echoed with uncertainty. What would she decide when the clouds finally lifted? The rain fell heavier now, each droplet hammering against the window as if echoing the tumult of Sarah's heart. The air in the café felt electric, charged with unspoken words and fleeting memories. She took a deep breath, trying to ground herself amid the chaos swirling inside her. The distant sound of laughter faded into the background as she replayed the evening over and over in her mind. Jake's offer lingered in her thoughts like an uninvited guest. She looked around the café, its chipped tables and mismatched chairs filled with stories, laughter, and countless cups of coffee shared. This was her sanctuary, a place where she had carved out a life from the remnants of her dreams. But could it truly stay hers if Jake stepped in to save the day? Damn it, she muttered under her breath. She ran a hand through her hair, feeling the wet strands cling to her forehead. Her instincts screamed at her to push him away, to keep her walls intact, but a rebellious part of her fluttered. What if this was the chance she never knew she wanted? Suddenly, the cafe door swung open again. Sarah's heart skipped a beat, both excited and fearful of the outcome. It was Mrs. Jenkins, the town's beloved gossip, shaking off the rain like a wet dog before heading to her usual corner table. "Sarah, dear. Is everything all right?" Mrs. Jenkins' voice cut through the tangled thoughts. "You seem a bit distracted today." "Just a lot on my mind," Sarah managed, forcing a smile she didn't fully feel. "Ah, life in this charming little town, eh? You know, I heard some interesting news while waiting in line at the post office." Mrs. Jenkins leaned closer, her voice dropping conspiratorially. "They say our very own Jake Talbot is back in town. Quite the hotshot now, isn't he? Rumor has it he's been doing business all over the world. But why would he soft spot for a little cafe like yours?" Sarah's breath caught in her throat. While she felt the heat rise in her cheeks, anger mixed with embarrassment rushed to the surface. Why did this feel like another judgment? Did she really need the town to scrutinize her every move with Jake? Before she could voice her irritation, Mrs. Jenkins continued. "Just think about his offer. Sometimes, holding on too tightly can keep us from flying." Those words hit harder than Sarah expected. Could Mrs. Jenkins see the internal battle that raged within her? A part of her wanted to grab a coffee and run away from it all. "Thanks for the advice, Mrs. Jenkins," she replied, her voice softer now. As the older woman took a seat, Sarah couldn't shake the way Mrs. Jenkins' words wrapped around her like vines. Weeks had turned into months of solitude. The cafe had been her only company, her only distraction from overthinking her life. But was it enough? Looking out the window again, the rain seemed to have calmed to a gentle patter. The clouds were slowly breaking apart, revealing hints of blue she hadn't noticed before. Was she ever going to let in a little light? The notion scared her, but it also flickered with hope. Jake returning had sparked something in her that she thought was long extinguished. She grabbed a damp napkin and started scribbling a note, her heart pounding with each stroke of the pen. Maybe it was time to take control of her narrative instead of letting it slip through her fingers. Just as her mind sparked with fresh resolve, a sudden and frantic knock echoed through the cafe. The door burst open, and in walked a drenched figure, panting and wide-eyed. Sarah's heart raced again as she recognized the unmistakable features Jake. "Sarah!" he called out, his voice rising above the fading storm. "I need to talk to you now." The urgency in his tone froze her to the spot. The cafe couldn't protect her anymore. She could either embrace the chaos or remain paralyzed by fear. The next move was hers, but the stakes had never felt higher. What did Jake want to say? Heart hammering, Sarah felt the weight of the moment press against her chest. As she stood there, the world around her felt like it was spiraling into the unknown, each heartbeat amplifying the tension. What if this moment changed everything? Would she finally have the courage to step into the light? Sarah felt her palms grow clammy as Jake stepped closer, his presence filling the small space between them. The warmth she had once known now felt overwhelming, electrifying, and terrifying all at once. She could see the worry etched across his face, a sharp contrast to the confident facade he had painted during their last encounter. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper as she locked her gaze onto his intense eyes. Jake took a deep breath, his brow furrowing slightly. "No, not really. I've been dealing with some things and I think we need to talk about your cafe." Her chest tightened. Was he going to say what she feared? The shadow of the cafe's future loomed large in her mind, blocking out flickers of hope. "I understand you're hesitant about my offer. But," he paused, glancing around the cafe and then back at her, I want to help, Sarah. I really do. She opened her mouth, searching for words, but nothing came out. Did he really mean it? Or was this just part of a carefully constructed plan? The sense of betrayal she had felt before was bubbling back up, threatening to drown her. You're a big shot now, Jake. You don't need another café to add to your portfolio, she exclaimed, frustration leaking into her voice. I've worked hard to keep this place running. It means something to me. He nodded, looking genuinely pained by her reaction. I know that. It's just he hesitated. I've seen how hard you fought, and it breaks my heart to watch you struggle. She didn't want to hear those words. They sounded sweet, but they also felt like a trap. What do you expect me to do? Hand over the keys? Just give up my dreams? That's not what I'm asking. He shot back, frustration coloring his tone. I'm saying you don't have to carry this burden alone. The cafe began to feel smaller, the walls closing in as their emotions ignited. For a brief moment, she saw a glimmer of the boy she once knew, the one who would never have dared to crush her spirit. What do you know about my dreams? About the passion I've poured into this place? She challenged, tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. Enough to know it was never just about coffee to you, he said softly, his voice lowering. It was about community, about creating a safe space. And I want to help you expand that, not take it away. A silence settled over them, thick and heavy, punctuated only by the distant sounds of rain tapping against the window. Sarah studied his face, searching for deception, but all she found was a sincerity that shook her to her core. What if I fail? She whispered, the vulnerability breaking through. What if I can't manage more with you along for the ride? Jake's expression softened further, and he stepped closer still, the scent of rain and warmth wrapping around her. Then we figure it out together. But right now, I see what you're blind to. This cafe can thrive. It's meant to, with a little help. Let me be that help. Sarah blinked, processing his words. Her heart fluttered with uncertainty. What if she let him in again? The idea was tempting yet terrifying. They had both changed, she wasn't the same girl who had known him in her youth. What if opening up to him again led her to heartbreak, or worse, a loss of her café? As she searched his gaze, seeing the hope and the urgency glimmering in it, she couldn't help but feel a flicker of something she thought had been lost. Just think about it, he said gently, stepping back slightly, giving her space but not breaking their connection. You deserve a chance to shine beyond these walls. No one is stopping you, not even me. She let out a shaky breath, her thoughts a whirlwind. The storm outside had quieted, but here, in the warmth of the cafe, a storm brewed inside her heart. She blinked back tears as she considered everything on the line. Jake was waiting, ready for her answer. But was she brave enough to take the leap? As a shaky resolve filled her, she heard the chime of the door open again, announcing yet another visitor. Who could it be, in the midst of this heavy moment? With her heart still racing from Jake's words, she turned, feeling the weight of decisions hanging in the air. Was she ready for whatever else the night might bring? The door creaked open, and a rush of cold air swirled inside. Sarah's heart did a little flip in her chest as she turned to face the newcomer. The sudden brightness of the café's interior against the dim evening light outside momentarily blinded her, but as her eyes adjusted, she felt an unexpected jolt. Standing just inside was a tall figure, bundled in a thick coat, his hands stuffed deep in his pockets. His face was partially obscured by the scarf wrapped around his neck, but the unmistakable outline of his jaw sent a wave of recognition crashing over her. It was Mark, her childhood best friend, the one who left town years ago for greener pastures, and the one she hadn't seen since high school graduation. Sarah. His eyes lit up as he stepped closer, shedding the layers with a bright smile. I can't believe it's really you. For a moment, the storm inside her heart faded, replaced by a warmth that felt both familiar and overwhelmingly nostalgic. It was as if time had folded neatly in half, bringing her childhood rushing back in an instant. "Mark! What are you doing here?" she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper as she took in the grown-up version of the boy who had once shared dreams of embarking on grand adventures together. "I just moved back into town. Figured I'd check out the cafes," and he flashed a grin, "then I found my favorite childhood haunt." Sarah's smile widened unconsciously. "You remember this place?" "Of course. It's like my second home. I used to spend hours here with you, planning our escape from this town." His laughter was infectious, soothing the remnants of tension between her and Jake. Jake stood slightly off to the side, hands tucked away, expression unreadable but shadowed by something heavy. Seeing Mark had shifted the dynamic, and Sarah could feel the weight of Jake's unease as he watched the two of them reconnect. She quickly introduced them, hoping the awkward energy would diffuse. "Jake, this is Mark. We were childhood friends." "Nice to meet you," Jake offered, trying to keep his voice steady, but that small quiver betrayed him. Mark shook Jake's hand, the grip firm and friendly, but there was a hint of a challenge in the air, charging the moment with an unspoken rivalry. Sarah gestured them both over to a table, and as they settled down, the feelings swirling in her chest only grew more complex. Mark had grown into a man with presence, a confidence that somehow reminded her of the ambitious little boy who had dreamed big. She wanted to ask him about everything, what he'd been doing, why he came back, but the thoughts tangled in her mind. "What brings you back?" she finally asked, hoping to bridge some of the time that had slipped between them. "I realized I missed this place, the small-town vibe," he replied, scanning the cafe with a warm smile. "And honestly, I took a pretty big risk on a business venture, and I think I want to try something new here. Maybe give back a little." His voice trailed off, as if the weight of his aspirations suddenly loomed over him. Before she could probe deeper, Jake interjected. "Maybe this cafe could be a place for those dreams," he said, excitement threading through his tone now that Mark was here. Sarah's heart raced. Could this be a sign? Perhaps the very help she needed could come from two people she once held close. But doubt crept back in. Was it really possible to blend the past with the present, to open her heart again to both men who stood before her, each offering something she craved yet feared? As they conversed lightly, a hint of something stronger ignited within her. Her mind flickered from a world of what-ifs to possibilities, torn between the familiar charm of the past and the daunting challenges of her future. Then Jake turned toward her. "So, have you thought about my offer?" The question hung heavy in the air, reverberating through her thoughts like echoing footsteps. And just as she was about to respond, an elderly customer at the next table cried out, a cup of coffee toppling from the edge, spilling dark liquid all over the floor. The chaos erupted, laughter combined with apologies, a whirlwind of moments where everyone rushed to help. In that instant, the question lingered in her mind, heavier than the spilled coffee. Was this the beginning of something new, or just another distraction? As the laughter and chatter filled the cafe, Sarah felt the familiar tug between comfort and risk. How could she choose a path when it felt like every thread was pulling her in a different direction? But in that wild mix of emotions, she caught Jake's eye again, and she knew that whatever came next could change everything. What would happen when the cafe chaos settled? Would she have the courage to reveal her heart? The commotion subsided as quickly as it began. The cafe's atmosphere returned to its warm embrace, filled with soft laughter and the gentle clinking of cups. Sarah found herself staring at the remnants of the spilled coffee, her mind racing with 1,000 thoughts. She could feel the tension in the room shift, as if the very walls had absorbed the chaos and were now poised for resolution. Mark leaned in closer, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. "So, what's the big offer Jake's tempting you with? Sounds intriguing." He wore a playful smile, but there was an underlying seriousness in his gaze that made Sarah's heart race. She hesitated, torn between the past and the daunting future. It's a chance to expand the café. I've been thinking about a bigger space, possibly doing events, but I'm not sure. It feels like a risk. Mark nodded, his expression thoughtful. Every risk comes with its own rewards. Remember when we used to talk about starting that adventure travel business? A smile crept onto her lips. She remembered those carefree days, dreaming big and believing anything was possible. It felt almost surreal to have him back, resurrecting those aspirations with just a few words. But now, her reality was so different from those dreams. Jake cleared his throat, his expression a mix of interest and impatience. What if we combined forces? I could help with the business aspect. You know, I've always had a knack for that, he offered, hope woven into his tone. Is that something you really want to do? Sarah asked, her eyes darting between the two men. Both had a spark, a fire in them that intertwined with her own dormant passion. Yet, she felt her own excitement laced with apprehension. Was she ready to accept help, to throw herself into something unknown? Just then, another wave of customers entered, filling the café with renewed energy. It was enough to pull her from the gravity of her thoughts. She grabbed her notepad instinctively, prompted by the rhythm of her daily life. But as she stepped away to take their orders, she felt their eyes on her. Mark's filled with nostalgia and encouragement, while Jake's held uncertainty mixed with determination. Taking a deep breath, she tried to calm her racing heart. As she jotted down the customers' requests, her mind wandered. Could she really chase after those childhood dreams now, with everything at stake? The possibilities spiraled before her, tantalizing yet frightfully real. When she returned, the tension shifted. Mark leaned back, arms crossed, a grin spread widely across his face. You know, this café could really be something special again. With a little bit of love and vision. Sarah raised an eyebrow. And you have all the answers, do you? She teased, trying desperately to mask the fear creeping in. Not all the answers, he replied, his eyes locking onto hers, but enough to know that sometimes you just need to take a leap. Sure, it's scary, but maybe it's worth it. Her heart clenched at the thought. Was she ready to leap? Was she really willing to risk everything? Before she could voice her next thought, Jake interjected again, urgency in his voice. So, do you want to have a meeting next week? Talk through ideas, brainstorm? He offered it like a lifeline, filling the air with a buoyancy that made Sarah want to reach for it. Mark's eyes flickered to Sarah, waiting for her response. The pressure felt tangible, like a moment suspended in time. Are you ready to take that leap, Sarah? Mark asked softly, a challenge that could either fortify her resolve or shatter her insecurities. Sarah could feel her cheeks heat up, the weight of their gazes on her. Right now, she stood at a crossroads, straddling the delicate line between safety and the unknown. The choice loomed large. Should she invite the chaos of change into her orderly life? Or should she cling to the familiar, content with what she had? As she opened her mouth to respond, the café door swung wide again. Another familiar face appeared, a reminder of the past that could complicate everything further. Sarah's heart halted. The possibilities swirling, and in that moment, she realized she would have to decide soon. The new figure stepped forward, his own expression a mix of surprise and hidden intentions. Just what would this encounter mean for her and the decisions she had to make? The familiar face that filled the doorway took a step forward, and Sarah's heart pounded like thunder. It was Alex, her childhood friend, the boy who had once held her heart. Memories flooded back of playground secrets and shared dreams, laughter under the stars, and the bittersweet goodbye that had taken him to the other side of the country. "What are you doing here?" Sarah managed, her voice shaky. Suddenly, the café felt smaller, every wall closing in on her. "I was just passing through," Alex replied. He looked different, more sophisticated. His clothes hinted at a successful life, the subtle designer labels and tailored fit speaking volumes. I heard about this place and wanted to check it out. Mark's eyes darted between Sarah and Alex, reading the room like an open book. He stood slowly, taking a step back, ready to allow them space. Yet there was a spark of protectiveness in his demeanor, a reminder that the past might still carry its weight. "Wow, it's been ages," Sarah said, trying to keep her tone light, but her mind was already racing. She glanced at Jake, who was observing with mild interest, unsure of whether to jump in or stay out. Alex smiled warmly, and time seemed to fold in on itself. "You haven't changed much," he said, a hint of nostalgia lacing his words. "Still running this cafe?" "It's my passion," she replied, unsure whether to embrace the affection in his voice or let her guarded nature take over. "What about you? You look different." "I guess I am," he said with a shrug. "Built a life, took a few highs and lows along the way. But it's good to see you, Sarah. You always had a spark." In that moment, the chatter of the cafe faded, it was only them. She remembered the way they used to stay up late, dreaming about what they'd accomplish in their lives. Had they imagined this? "So, have you? How are things on your end?" She stammered, still trying to process the whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. "It's complicated," Alex admitted. "Work has kept me busy. I'm actually back here for a project, something I think you'd appreciate." His gaze brightened, and he leaned closer, a glint of excitement in his eyes. "I've been working in tech, and now I'm heading a new initiative that ties into small businesses like yours." Sarah's breath hitched. "Really? What do you mean?" "Helping young entrepreneurs turn their passions into successful ventures," he explained. "I thought of you when this opportunity came along. I mean, you've always been incredibly talented." His words ignited a flicker of hope in Sarah's chest. Could Alex possibly be a key to something? Or was this just another distraction? Mark, sensing Sarah's hesitation, stepped up. "That sounds amazing, Alex. But what exactly does that have to do with her cafe?" He crossed his arms, a protective stance. "Oh, I didn't mean to intrude. I just thought if Sarah's thinking about expanding, I could help navigate the business side, and maybe even sponsor a few events." The idea crashed over her like a tidal wave. The prospect of renewed dreams, of bringing her cafe to new heights with the help of old friends, sparked something deep within her. Yet, fear still tangled with that hope. "How can I trust this is real?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex stepped back, his expression softening. "I get it. Things aren't easy, especially after we lost touch. But I promise, I'm here to help, to invest in something meaningful." Their shared past hung heavy in the air, a mix of love, possibility, and doubt. Could she really let him back in? Could they partner in something that might heal the scars of their history? Before she could respond, Jake interrupted, "Sarah, this decision is yours. Just remember, the stakes are high and time waits for no one." As Sarah looked at each of them, Mark, supportive and steady, Jake, earnest and ready for action, Alex, carrying the weight of their shared history, her heart raced with the enormity of her next choice. Would she embrace the chance for change? Could she revive old dreams with two people who promised to stand by her side? The cafe was buzzing with life around them, but for Sarah, the moment hung precariously, the idea of risk beckoning like an old friend. Just as she took a deep breath to respond, a sudden clang echoed through the room. A tray had slipped from a waitress' hand, breaking the tension anew. The world around them jerked back to reality, and she knew that whatever decision she made would shape everything that followed. And in that chaotic moment, she glanced up, ready to finally voice her choice, but a prickle of doubt brought her words to a halt once more. Would she really take that leap? The sound of crashing dishes sent a ripple through the cafe. Sarah felt her heart pound louder, drowning out the low murmur of conversations and laughter surrounding her. The unexpected noise yanked her back into the present, while the warmth of Alex's presence lingered like the aroma of fresh coffee in the air. She turned toward the girl who fumbled the tray, a flustered smile on her face. "Sorry about that," the waitress mumbled as she bent down to collect the scattered plates. Sarah couldn't help but let out a soft chuckle. It was levity in chaos, an unexpected reminder that ordinary moments still existed even here, in the thick of everything. With the distraction broken, Sarah's attention slipped back to Alex, his eyes fixed on her with an intensity that felt as familiar as it was overwhelming. Each heartbeat echoed a question: could she navigate the waters of their past and the uncertain tides of the future? "You don't have to decide anything right now," Alex said, sincerity lacing his words. His tone wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, pulling her from the storm of warring emotions. "I just wanted you to know there's an opportunity out there. One that could be as transformative for you as it was for me." Still unsure, Sarah's mind raced. Could embracing this opportunity bring joy? Or would it only lead to disappointment, like so many things in her past? She stole a glance at Mark, who appeared thoughtful yet ready to step in if necessary. Jake shifted beside her, his eyes reflecting a mix of encouragement and caution. "What are you thinking?" Jake asked, breaking Sarah from her trance. "This could change everything for you." "It sounds risky," she replied, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "What if it doesn't work out? What if we all end up disappointed?" "Disappointment is part of the journey," Alex said, his voice steady. "Staying stagnant is worse. Remember those late-night conversations we had? You wanted to change the world. Why not start with something that means so much to you?" His words hung in the air, sparking something deep in her. Maybe he was right. Perhaps the thought of relinquishing her café dreams was more daunting than the actual leap of faith. "You mentioned sponsoring events," Sarah finally ventured, her curiosity igniting. "What did you have in mind?" Alex's face lit up. "I envisioned pop-up art shows, local musicians playing on the weekends, maybe even a little food festival alongside your signature coffee. We could showcase the talent in our community." The enthusiasm in his voice was infectious. "Events like that would draw people in," Jake added, nodding. "It could make your café a hub. A place where dreams flourish." Sarah's heart raced with the thoughts whirling in her mind. She could almost see the event flyers spread across town, the rhythmic sound of laughter and music filling the air as creativity flowed between friends and strangers alike. "What's the catch?" she asked, her skepticism rising to the surface, searching for cracks in the vision. "No catch," Alex responded earnestly. "Just a chance to collaborate. I want to see you succeed, Sarah. You deserve it." As she contemplated his offer, the moment felt suspended between promise and fear. The café felt warmer, alive with the clinking of cups and soft sounds of conversation, but for Sarah, it was now a canvas needing color and vibrance. Then a thought struck her, a gentle wave of hope mixed with the reality of her doubts. Could she step back into this world with Alex? After all this time, was she willing to push through the fear of what had been to embrace what could be? Before she could respond, the door swung open again, drawing the gaze of those present. A dark figure stepped in, an unexpected arrival that sent another tremor through the room. Sarah squinted, her heart racing anew, as a voice she recognized shattered the burgeoning silence. "Where do I sign up for the wildest coffee experience in town?" It was Tom, a former café regular whose charm had filled the café before leaving for the city years ago, now standing there with an equally confident grin. And all at once, Sarah knew this was only the beginning. Choices loomed larger now, with possibilities swirling around her like a whirlwind. Could she really do this? Would they all leap together to chase something bigger? As she turned back to face Alex, the spark in his eyes mirrored her own uncertainty and desire. Was the leap worth the fall that might come? Just as she drew a breath to answer, her phone vibrated against the counter, a nudge from the universe, a reminder that life was pulling her in every direction. What was waiting for her once she answered? Sarah's fingers trembled as she reached for her phone, the buzzing feeling almost frantic in the stillness that surrounded her. The noise of the cafe faded, as if echoing a distant memory, and all she could focus on was the screen glimmering back at her. Who could it be? Are you going to pick that up? Jake nudged her, his voice low but encouraging. She shot him an anxious glance, taking a moment to collect herself. After everything that had just come tumbling into her world, Alex's unexpected proposal and now Tom's lively entrance, she wasn't sure she could handle another surprise. Taking a moment to steady her breath, she finally swiped her finger across the screen. It was a message from an unknown number. It read, "Sarah, it's been a while. Can we talk? It's important." A pang of recognition tugged at her heartstrings, familiar yet shrouded in fading time. Who is it? Alex leaned in, curiosity etched on his face as he watched her reaction. I don't know, she stammered, staring at the message. A part of her wanted to dismiss it, but another, an adventurous, longing part, yearned to see where this could lead. The world felt ripe for new beginnings. Is it someone from your past? Jake inquired, clearly intrigued. I think it might be, she replied, a rush of unease mingling with anticipation. In the stillness around them, Sarah could hear the thumping of her heart. Memories flooded back, summer afternoons spent laughing, stolen kisses in the park, dreams of tomorrow that had disintegrated into nothingness. Maybe it's someone worth meeting, Alex suggested, the warmth of his gaze holding her steady. You owe it to yourself to explore what this could be. She hesitated. What if they only want to drag me back into the shadows of what I thought I left behind? Or this could be a chance to redefine those memories. Think of it as a pathway, not an anchor, Alex encouraged, his words laced with an understanding that soothed the worry clawing at her. Just open it, Jake added, his loyalty unwavering, nudging her forward. All these new beginnings are waiting for you. Why not seize them? With a deep breath, she decided then she wasn't going to let fear dictate her actions. She tapped on the message, her fingers trembling with a mix of excitement and dread. Okay, she whispered, glancing at Alex and Jake, who leaned closer in anticipation. As she composed her response, Tom's laughter filled the cafe, infectious and bright, pulling the attention of all around him. He was a whirlwind of energy, spinning stories and drawing people in, and Sarah felt an undeniable tug of nostalgia. She remembered why they had shared a connection years ago. Tom was always the light during her darkest days. What are you thinking now? Alex asked, breaking her focus. I just can't believe this is all happening at once. It's crazy. Sarah replied, her voice shaky but filled with a strange thrill. Life is often crazy, Alex smiled softly, the intensity in his eyes reminding her just how much could change in a moment, and how every leap could lead to something wonderful. Just then, a voice echoed from the cafe door again, deep and familiar. Did someone mention crazy? It was Tom, a seated regular but now the centerpiece of a whirlwind conversation, smiling with that same charm. And there it was, a spark ignited among them, a connection just waiting to be rediscovered. Sarah's heart raced, caught in a web of emotions. Could it be that this moment, filled with possibilities, would lead her to a hub of creativity and connection she had always dreamed about? And as her phone buzzed once more, another incoming message, the cafe hummed with an energy of potential and hope. Was she ready for whatever followed next? In that moment, Sarah realized there were choices to be made and risks to take, both with Alex, her old flame, and Tom, who now stood there, hinting at unexpected adventures. What did the universe have in store for her now? Would she dare to find out? The cafe pulsed with a newfound energy, set against the backdrop of laughter and the rich aroma of coffee swirling like magic in the air. Sarah looked at Alex, then at Jake, each presenting a different path, one leading back to the comfort of old-hearted friendship, the other heralding a chance at untold dreams. Without realizing it, the choice ahead felt monumental, the stakes more significant than they had ever been. And then there was Tom, bursting in with charm, as if he carried the hope of young dreams with him. He smiled, dropping a casual joke that made everyone laugh. In that moment, Sarah felt a spark behind her ribs, a flicker of possibility that urged her to believe. Tom might just be the wild card she needed, someone to shake things up and shift her perspective. "Tom," she called, her voice gaining strength. "You say you want a wild coffee experience. What's your vision for this place?" The words tumbled out, her heart racing with excitement as she saw the surprised glimmer in his eyes. Tom's demeanor shifted from playful to serious as he stepped closer. "I've been dying to help out with something creative. I notice every time I come back here how this cafe could be so much more. With a little revamping and some fun events, we could draw in a crowd that embraces the heart of this town." "Like what?" Sarah pressed, already feeling the lightness beginning to form in her soul. "What if we established an open mic night for local talent?" he suggested enthusiastically. "Or a Friday art market, where local artists can showcase their pieces right here in your cafe? It could be a place for our community to shine." His passion was infectious, spreading warmth to everyone around. To her surprise, Sarah found herself beaming. Ideas crashed over her like waves, flooding her mind with images of vibrant lights, colorful artwork hanging from the walls, laughter weaving in and out of music. "Those are amazing ideas, Tom," she exclaimed, a sense of excitement coursing through her. But her thoughts turned to the offer from Alex, and she wondered about balancing it all. Maybe we can incorporate some of those ideas along with Alex's business sponsorship? She turned to look at both men, fear slipping slowly away. "We could build something none of us could do alone." "Yes. Collaboration." Alex brightened, the light in his eyes reflecting Sarah's renewed hope. "Our skills combined could create a community center for artists, creators, and coffee lovers all at once." "Exactly," Tom exclaimed, smiling broadly, the energy swelling as everyone in the cafe seemed to catch on to the revolution. Jake observed with admiration, but Sarah sensed an unspoken concern behind his excitement. "What are you thinking?" she asked, her heart racing as possibilities began to unfold. "I'm all in for whatever you decide," he said, his voice steady, "but just remember it's your cafe, your vision. You have to lead this." In that moment, Sarah felt everything click into place. She was at the center of her journey, drawing strength from the past while tearing away fear. The cafe was not just a business, it was a heartbeat in her town, one she was ready to nurture beyond her wildest expectations. Her heart swelled, memories intermingling with the thrill of hope. "Let us do it, then. Let us rebuild this cafe into something the community can gather around." Her voice rang out with clarity, painting a vivid picture of everything she once longed for. Everyone erupted in cheers, the spirit of collaboration electrifying the air. "I'll handle the promotions for the events," Tom volunteered. "I can secure local talent to perform and set everything up." "Let us meet this week to start brainstorming," Alex contributed, smiling ear to ear. The future glowed with promise. They spent the next hour brainstorming as laughter filled the cafe, the warmth wrapping around them. Each idea generated card after card littered across tables. Sarah's dreams were coming back to life, rekindled by those who cared for her. As the evening faded into night, Sarah stood in the cafe and glanced around, the familiar space now shimmering with the potential of what lay ahead. In that moment, she realized the truth of what Mrs. Jenkins had said: embracing change meant letting go of the burdens of yesterday for the joy of tomorrow. In every story she had learned to hold close, love and connection were at the heart of it. It was what made a home. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, snapping her back to the moment. It was the same unknown number, another message tinged with unease. For a moment, she considered not answering, pushing it aside. But then, she smiled softly at the chaos of the cafe before her. It could be yet another opportunity, one she would evaluate, embracing the affirmative air of her new beginning. "Let us do this," She exclaimed joyously, knowing in her heart that whatever challenges came her way, she was no longer alone. With every cup poured and heart touched, this café was on its way to becoming something magnificent, a symbol of resilience, love, and community. And as they all stood